Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of the UK Connection in the co-captain's chairs, as always, on this Saturday afternoon here in the States, evening in the UK, Mr. Simon Bray from Lancashire and Mr. Steven Reid from Perth, Scotland. I'm getting better and better every week, right?
You are. You're like the Mel Gibson of SLT. You really are.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
I'm not sure you want that title, do you?
Yeah, probably not. You know,
Probably not.
Back in the day, yeah. All right. I'll go back to saying Lancashire and Perth. All right, there we go. Anyway, today we're going to revisit some concert memories. We have moved on to 2014 and 2015, which we all three of us agree was pretty fertile as far as going to see some really good shows. We've each identified three from each particular year that we're going to talk a little bit about and just give some cool memories of. So we'll have Mr. Reid kick us off with 2014.
I don't know if everybody else has, but I've got one of these with me too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well, you know, I'm back to my tea again. I know, boring. I know.
Everybody else can just skip to 7 minutes 30 when the boring shit is finished. So
Yeah, proper conversation will arrive at 7 minutes 30. That's correct.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm as stereotypically Scottish as can possibly be today because I am drinking from the Loch Ness Brewery. I am genuinely drinking a Hoppy Ness.
Wow.
Well, let's see what they did there.
Yeah, and messy on the front too. I love it.
Messy on the front as well, yes, and drink too many of these and it'll be messy around the back as well. So anyway, this is an IPA and it's absolutely lovely. It's very nice indeed. Highly recommended.
Wow, that is awesome.
It's really nice.
I'm a big fan. When I was growing up as a kid, I was obsessed with the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff. So I did like papers in school on the Loch Ness Monster and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I've always been fascinated with that, and I love beer. So that is wonderful. Very cool.
Are you a believer?
I don't think so, but I just think it's a cool myth, regardless.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool. Simon, what are your?
Well, I realized, and I've just used my Trooper beer opener thingy, that unlike Stephen, I haven't been spending much time publicizing stuff that comes from near where I live. And I live about 5 minutes away from Moorhouse's Brewery, which is in Burnley. This is a Pendle Witch brew. And it's a strong ale, but it's only 4.9, so it's about half of last week. So I might be a little bit more sentient this week towards the end than I was. Yeah. So I'm just pouring this in my Clitheroe FC glass, and I'll be with you in about 2 seconds. I'm pouring it like a champion.
As expected.
Yeah.
I would say I'm pretty confident that he will pour better than I did last week.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks ago, actually.
You might be wrong. So let's get on with the music, shall we?
Okay, sounds good. All right, Stephen, over to you.
Okay, so 2014, 2015. For anyone that wants to keep a tally of what I saw in this era, I saw 47 different concerts in these 2 years. Okay, I saw 113 bands. This was not easy to choose. Wow. 3 from each year. However, a show that I have mentioned on the channel a few times is one of the ones that immediately sprung to mind. So I'm going to the 3rd of April in 2014, and I'm going to the Glasgow Clyde Auditorium, known locally as the Armadillo, because it looks a bit like an armadillo, okay? And I saw a 3-band bill, okay, of which only one is named on the ticket, but Foreigner were the headliners. Okay, and the other 2 bands on the bill, FM opened, and Europe were the middle band on the bill. So it really was an absolutely phenomenal threesome, kind of really linked musically and not at the same time. FM put on a fantastic show, biggest venue I've seen them in. They tend to play more kind of bigger clubs here in the UK and own them with ease. But that night, they really proved they should always have been playing rooms of that size. Absolutely fantastic. And to hear lots of live is always a bonus. Europe were amazing, as Europe always tend to be. I know that there will still be people who watch the channel going, Final Countdown, Rock the Night, Carrie, Cherokee. Yeah, they played all of those songs, but they heavy them up. They mix it in with the newer stuff from the catalogue, and the encore, which was One Last Look at Eden, followed by the Final Countdown. What a great one too. Absolutely outstandingly good. And they're a heavier band live. And whenever I've seen them, they do tend to play with bands of roughly the same kind of size as them, or on a bill like this. So you're surrounded by people who have written them off from 30 years ago, who all go, wow, they're really good, aren't they? Really good.
Whoa.
And I've never come away from a show of that kind of bill that Europe have been on and not had conversations with people around about me when they've gone, they're not the band I thought they were. So yeah, check them out if you kind of left them in the Final Countdown. But the headliners, Foreigner, I mean, I have waxed lyrical about Kelly Hansen, the frontman, on numerous occasions. He just is absolutely phenomenal, owns the stage, owns the band, with all due respect to Lou Gramm, who I love, I really do love as a singer. Oddly, that was one of those nights where I think they probably did that on all of the tour, where Mick Jones doesn't start the show. So your only original member of the band doesn't arrive until they've played Double Vision, Head Games, and Cold as Ice. I mean, that's a great opening trio of songs. But the one original member, the guy that the band's all about, then walks out on stage. I mean, okay, the house then just collapses because he's walked out on stage. But, you know, it is a bit odd. However, he is, shall we say, a more senior gentleman these days. So maybe pacing things and so on. But the band that he's put together, you've got, or certainly at that stage, you had Bruce Watson on guitar, Tom Gilball on guitar and flute. And I like the flute because it means he played Star Rider.
That's right.
My favourite Foreigner song. I absolutely adore that song. Chris Fraser on drums, Michael Bluestone on keyboards, Mick Jones, of course, guitar and keys, and one of my favourite bassists of all time, Jeff Pilson, playing bass. And the standard was just incredible. And we were right down the front for that one, so I was lucky enough to manage to get myself a trio of plectrums.
Nice.
There you go. And I was excited to get the one from Mr. Pilson handed to me. He handed it to me because I was so excited to see him. Bit of a fangirl moment, I think, really.
It's like, I better give that guy a pick in the front row because otherwise he won't stop jumping up and down and screaming like a little girl, right? Yeah.
I think I actually do think I asked them for it in between songs. It really was one of those. There you go. You can go home happy now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Out of my room.
Kid. Go ahead.
Yes. Anyway, so the second one I wanted to mention from 2014, completely different venues. The Glasgow ABC2, which is absolutely tiny, as we've discussed before, no longer with us because it burnt to the ground, unfortunately. 27th of June 2014, and I saw Heaven and Earth in that venue. They're a fantastic band. They're one of those bands that really should have, could have, would have. Why they can't break through and be bigger than they are, I don't know. I've not been quite so excited by their most recent album, V or 5, because they've changed singers. Because the singer at this stage was a guy called Joe Retta, who really is just outstanding. And he seems to have just disappeared from the scene entirely. For anyone that doesn't know the band, I mean, Stuart Smith is the main guy in the band. He's the guitarist, the songwriter. He's been there from the start when it was more of a project. He's still there now. I mean, he clearly worships Ritchie Blackmore. I mean, he dresses in black from head to foot. He's got kind of frizzy brown black hair down about here. He knows all the moves. He's got all of Ritchie's licks. And it doesn't matter because he writes absolutely fantastic songs. But some of the stuff that really sticks with me from watching this band live was Joe Retta's sort of the accoutrements that he brought with him. Do you know, he's not the tallest chap that I've ever seen, but I mean, the ABC2 is probably slightly smaller than the room I'm sitting in now. So we could all see him, but that didn't stop him from bringing rock and roll steps. He had rock and roll steps. He had two little steps that he could, oh, I can see you all now. We could see you all along, Joe. And they even had a little band logo on them. We're like,
so he's bringing it from place to place. Yep.
You know, and we've all seen a front man that plays a tambourine, you know, nothing better to do. I don't have any great moves, so I'll just start. It's like Ian Gillan with the congas that are not mic'd up because he ain't making any real noise you want to hear, right? And Joe is giving it this, but he doesn't have to bend down to pick up his tambourine. No. He's got a long bit of wire that's on the tambourine, so he can just do this and bring it up. And if he wants to put it down, he doesn't have to bend down. Rock singers don't bend down to pick up tambourines. He can just throw it down because it's got a little anti-roll bar on the back. So it goes down, hits the ground, comes straight back up again. Wire right up here for the next time that there's a solo. And there's lots of solos. Thankfully, I don't need a voice big enough to match all of that nonsense.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then the drummer for that tour, they changed band members all the time, was a guy called Jackie Barnes, and his father is Jimmy Barnes. And my abiding memory of Jackie Barnes is just how hard he hits his drums. This has been absolutely punished beyond belief. Look at this. I mean, you can barely pick it up for getting splinters in your hand. But this was handed to me at the end of the gig, because same again, there was about 3 people there, maybe 23. And it was a real shame because they were absolutely phenomenal. Really, really good. And a great band, especially the 3rd and 4th album, Dig, and Hard to Kill, I think the 4th one is called.
I'm amazed they're still together. I have, I think, the 3rd album, and I thought it was great. And then I never heard another thing by him after that.
The one after that, Peter, is well worth catching. 5 or V is good. Doesn't blow me away, I have to say. They've changed singer, and that has made a big difference for me. And I also snagged myself a wee set list as well. It helps when there's nobody at these things, because you can just go, I love that, thanks very much, and off you go. So that, for the last one for 2014 that I want to talk about is, I saw huge bands in this year. I saw Slash, I saw the Eagles, I saw great bands with lots of heritage. I saw Saxon, I saw Within Temptation for the first time. But I want to talk about Chris Glenn and the Outfit. That's the gig I want to talk about on the 19th of December at the Classic Grand in Glasgow. It was just one of those. He does a show at the end of every year. They have lots of fun. He covers his entire kind of musical career and then some. He's a little bit generous with what he can class as a Chris Glenn song, shall we say. So same again, got a nice little set list. So he does all the sensational Alex Harvey stuff you could imagine.
Faith Healer. Armed and Ready on there from MSG.
There you go, Armed and Ready. We've got Sleeping Dogs. And he's played with Chris Slade. So we get Thunderstruck. That's tenuous.
That's kind of pushing it a little bit, yeah.
That is tenuous. It is. And then we go back to some more Alex Harvey band stuff. You go Vambo, you go Boston Tea Party. He closed with Delilah, which even live recorded, I'm like, yeah, okay. But live in the venue was just ridiculous, because everybody by this stage is just falling over themselves, collapsing at it. It's phenomenal. He plays Doctor. Yeah, I know that he's played that with Schenker, but really, Yeah. But the song for me that stands out is this one here, the beautiful ditty that's called Gangbang. And the reason for that standing out is because there was a lovely little old lady down the front of this concert all the way through who, she had a great time. She would be in 70s, I would guess. She was wearing a silver anorak puffer jacket that went from here. It was zipped up all the way through the entire show, right the way down to her feet. But man, oh man, does she start punching the air and shouting for her life for ain't nothing like a gangbang, ain't nothing like a gangbang, ain't nothing like a gangbang to blow away the blues. And she lived every second of that song. And we'll leave that there.
Wow. Would have been good to get that on tape, right?
It was one of those where 1 or 2 people started to notice, and before everyone in the venue was kind of going,
look at the old lady over there. And I'm sure Chris was making all his numerous faces and things, right? Because he's like,
oh yeah,
he's a character, that guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm laughing and joking. What a great show! What great fun! It is just really nonsense on stage. There are band members come and go. He's got local guys. He's got guys that are kind of big on this scene, and it's just having a laugh, having great fun. And it is, if you get the chance to see Chris Glenn in the Outfit, go along, because it's just a guaranteed great time.
I'm sure I won't be seeing that here.
No, probably not.
Simon's got a much better chance of seeing that than me, I think. Yeah. Speaking of
Who
Simon,
knows? I think Chris Slade's coming around here soon. He's playing tiny venues.
Oh, I don't know if he's playing up here, Chris. I really like Chris Slade. Losing my voice, losing my words there, because bit of a thing for Chris Slade. One of my favourite drummers of all time.
he's a good player, for sure. For sure.
You'd like a stick from him, wouldn't you? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe in a little better condition than the other one, right?
I'll take it. I'll take Chris Slade's stick, whatever way he wants to give it to me.
This is why we don't win awards.
Yes. Yeah.
Rated R episode already. Here we go.
Did you see any shows in 2014, Simon? Please.
I did. Thanks for asking. Yes, indeed. I spent quite a lot of time stepping slightly out of the SLT paradigm, as I tend to do, but not into the embarrassing Boney M style paradigm. No, I stay. Well, actually, I'll let you make that decision. Shall we? I mean, 2014 was the year where it all went completely tits up for Eden's Curse in Baltimore. We'll move on from that because we've mentioned it more than once. They must be like still crying. I did, however, see Blackberry Smoke that year, and they were fine, completely fine. Good. A bit like the record. They were good. They don't move much, do they? They don't. I mean, the music's fantastic, and they played everything I absolutely wanted them to play. But I was unusually for me, I was right in the center. Not like me. I'm usually left. That's where I like to stand. I was right in the center. Me and Charlie were like that, but just barely moved. Just one of the most static performances, actual performances that I've ever seen. Music was great. But
so kind of like Marshall Tuckery, right? Because Marshall Tucker kind of just stand there and play too. It's not like you're not gonna confuse like a Marshall Tucker show with a Skinner show, right? Skinner show, you got Medlock and company, they're running all over the place, and you see Marshall Tucker, and it's just like they got like concrete in their feet. But they're musically they're great. I've never seen Blackberry Smoke, but I've heard
exactly.
That. Yeah,
I've seen them.
There'll be more Skinner coming up very soon.
I've seen Blackberry Smoke 3 times, and it doesn't really stick out to me that they don't move. But maybe I
don't mean they're like statues. It's not like going to watch Easter Island or something like that. But it's not. They're not throwing shapes. They're just letting the music do the.
They're too cool for shapes.
Right?
They're too cool for shapes.
Well, this is true. Yeah, it's just the point that they just stood there. They go, "We've got a shitload of good songs. Here they go. Enjoy." Yeah.
Maybe I'm just easier pleased.
Yeah, because at some point, I'm going to pop on about how much I hate it when singers go like that and point the microphone into, because I want the motherfuckers to entertain me. I've paid my 30 quid. Entertain me. I'm not fucking singing to you.
Come round in a future show, Simon, but do you know what's even worse than that? It's when they come and join you in the audience. That's even worse.
Well, I saw a comedian do that last Friday. Didn't like it.
No, see when singers actually come down onto the floor and shove microphones in, and nobody wants them to come anywhere near them. Don't make me sing out in the microphone. I paid for you to entertain me. Don't do that, please. Thank you. There's a reason I don't sing.
We're on the same page.
Yes. Sorry.
And if you're Vince Neil, you do that the entire show.
I've just watched a video where somebody admitted being on the Motley Crue train for 2 albums, and then the shark was well and truly jumped. I've been doing my homework. Yeah,
I wonder what show that was.
It was a good one. I thoroughly recommend it to everybody else that's out there. That year, it was the year that I saw. I don't know if I've mentioned I've seen Sabaton about 47 times, but this was the one with Korpikolani and Tyr. And I really went just for Tyr, because you can't have enough. I'm sure they're from the Faroe Islands or somewhere like that. You can't have enough really, really obscure places that bands can come from.
Yeah, that's
they were great. Korpikolani were the same as every other time I've seen them. Pretty entertaining. and Sabaton did their shit. They really did, and that's all you can ask for. However, I want to specifically talk about two things. For my birthday, right, this is where I step outside of that rocking paradigm. I had absolutely nothing to do. What are you doing for your birthday, Simon? Well, I don't know. So at that point, I usually look at the listings and think, who can we go and see? The only thing I could come up with that I could vaguely tolerate that was in and around the Lancashire/Manchester area that particular year was, that's right, the Boomtown Rats.
Oh,
yeah, I knew I could get you to do that. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Wow, that was again.
Simon, tell me why.
They've got a shitload of hits. You know the bit where he pauses in the middle of I Don't Like Mondays?
Yeah, that sounds like to me I don't like birthdays.
Oh yeah, there you go. He's actually still on the stage now, 8 years later. He's still doing that really dramatic pause. Yeah, but they were great. They were great, and yeah, I always like it when the man on stage tells the audience that they're shit and stuff like that. Really, yeah, just a weird thing to do, isn't it? Don't you think? But you know, the shitload of hits, really good, very interesting. But they were supported by. I think we've all mentioned. Well, we've both mentioned our lack of love of late '90s British music. Republica, who played a medley of their two hits and somehow dragged it out for about 40 minutes.
That was the whole show.
But you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, just saying. But also that year, and I know, Peter, you're going to really enjoy this. I really got on board the country music train, and I saw Eric Church, who was brilliant. Absolutely outstandingly good, almost Springsteen-esque in his storytelling, really good. And I saw Darius Rucker, okay, but that's not the point, because he did something that I utterly, he used to be in Hootie and the Blowfish. He is in Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah, I think they're technically still, yeah, I don't know.
They're still alive. I've seen them.
He's more of a solo artist, but now
yeah. Anyhow, he did the thing that really annoys me. Right, and let me think. The Darkness did it just before Christmas. That's right. They came to Manchester and they thought, do you know what? We've got all these songs. Why don't we do an Oasis song? Why don't you piss off? Why don't you not do that? Again, just why? You know, it's nearly as bad as the holding the microphone. I don't need to hear Champagne Supernova, Wonderwall, et al. Ever again, and I don't need it from somebody who's got other songs that they could be playing and have kicked out of the set list for that.
Yeah, I don't even want Oasis to play Oasis songs, let alone
exactly. Yes, yeah. Indeed. Yeah. So yeah, I saw those. I enjoyed about 90% of that particular set. Then he did, I think it was Champagne Supernova, and I'm, sticking things in my ears like that for 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah,
I've been doing the same. I've been like, all right, bathroom break right about now.
Yeah, exactly. But there's so many that I've missed out. But at some point, I'm going to have to point out that I've seen the Choir Boys practically every year for the last 30 years. Do I sigh at your choices, Stephen? Do I?
Yeah, often.
Oh, yeah, do I?
Often, yeah. The sigh for the Choir Boys, Simon, is not because you've seen that. I'm not a massive fan, but, it's 7 o'clock, let's have a party.
I see what he did there. A sex party. Bring your drumstick.
Right. However, they are one of those bands that I've never, meant to pay to see, and yet they've been on every festival, every 5-man bill, every support slot that I've ever seen. I've seen the Choir Boys, I think, 9 times. None of them really through choice. Really? I don't really like them, but it's just, it's the Choir Boys. Oh, some band pulled out. Let's have the Choir Boys.
I really like them. I find them super entertaining. Just saying.
Yeah, don't do it, they never have.
The section's all about me.
That's an excellent mention there, Simon. Excellent mention.
I've also finished.
Okay.
I guess we'll move on to me then. All right. So let's start from my first one, which was June 27th, 2014 at Bethel Woods Center for the Arts, which is the original Woodstock site. My one and only time that I've ever seen Boston on the maligned Heaven and Earth tour. I say maligned because the album was really poorly received. But basically, they came out. I've never seen the band before. I've been a Boston fan since I was a kid. And even without Brad Delp, I think they had 3 singers to do all the Brad Delp part. They had a female who played bass and 2 guys, and Tom, of course, and some other drummer. And, there was a whole cast of musicians on stage. But man, everything sounded identical to the record. They played every song you would want to hear. And I thought they were just absolutely magnificent. Maybe it was just my anticipation of seeing them for the first time, but they recreated those songs amazingly. And I had an absolute blast sitting out there under the stars, early summer, listening to More Than a Feeling and Peace of Mind and all those classics. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. They even played the title track to the then new album, which live sounds really good. That's like the only new song they played. But yeah, that was quite good. So that was my first one. Second, what's that?
Sorry. Can't remember who those singers were that were in the band at that stage.
I don't remember. I think all 3 of them had been in the band for a few years, at least live, but they weren't. Michael Sweet was not among them.
Right, that's who I was trying to remember. Yeah,
yeah, because he was with them live for a couple of years, but he was already out of the band by then. But they were terrific. I mean, absolutely terrific. The other show, August 9th, so about 2 months later, at Montage Mountain in Pennsylvania. This is a venue like out in the woods in Pennsylvania, another outdoor show, Kiss and Def Leppard. And this was actually my first time seeing Kiss with the makeup on. After being a Kiss fan for all those years, I had only ever seen them in the 80s without the makeup. So, and at this point in time, I think this was my second time seeing Def Leppard, maybe third. And it's funny because I went with Nick Franco and Ryan Scow from the Hudson Valley Squares and a few other people. And little did I know that Mr. Franco was a huge Def Leppard fan from when he was a kid. So he proceeded to just have himself a grand old time during Def Leppard, singing everything at the top of his lungs. There was this couple that was sitting in front of us that had a blanket in the grass. They were standing up. He went and grabbed their blanket, put it on his back, and started running around like a cape and singing and just totally being a wild man. And then as soon as Kiss came on, he sat down and like was like, all right, I'm done. But meanwhile, that's when I kind of woke up. So I thought Kiss were excellent that night. They played everything you'd want to hear. Def Leppard 2, another good kind of concert outdoors type of thing. I thought it was pretty fun. And my last one from 2014, again, amongst a lot to choose from. I didn't really know what to choose. I saw a lot of classic rock stuff this particular year. But other than, I was going to pick Yes at Radio City Music Hall because it was the last time I saw Chris Squire before he passed away. But I don't think the show was that overly memorable. The memorable show for me was November 1st at the Gramercy Theater in New York City, Pentagram and Bang. So I had never seen Pentagram live before, been a fan of these Doom legends for a long time. They were excellent. Bang, for those of you who are not familiar, Bang was a band from Pennsylvania who released a couple albums in the early 70s. They were kind of like a US version of think like Black Sabbath meets the Beatles meets Grand Funk Railroad. Power trio. Only had a couple albums. I think they were on CBS Records, if I'm not mistaken. Really good. They reformed, I think, a year or two before this tour, and they were excellent as well. And it was just a really good night of like doom and heavy 70s rock. And there were a couple other bands on the bill, which I don't even remember who they were, but just great to see Pentagram live for the first time ever. They were mind-blowingly good. I love Doom. So for me, I had a grand old time. So those are my 3 from 2014. Back to Steven.
So 2015, the 21st of May at the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall. So that's it's a plush venue. You know, it's got nice velvety seats and, you know, it's all velvety down. And it's one of these places that's kind of shaped like this. So if you get one of the side seats, you spend the night like that. Thankfully, I was in the stalls for Toto.
Nice.
Okay. Now, believe it or not, 2015 was the first time that Toto played in Scotland, that's quite mind blowing, really, you know. And they came out. I mean, they weren't just brave enough to play 5 new songs off what I think was the 14 album at that stage. They actually opened with one. They opened with Running Out of Time. Okay, and that you think that's brave, you know.
Good
And
song though. Good song.
I really like that album. I mean, I really like the album, you know, really like it. And I think that they were meant to run straight into. There was meant to be a little stop, you know, get a bit of a cheer, and then move straight on into I'll Supply the Love. And the reception that they got as they finished their opening number is like nothing I've ever heard before. The place just fell apart. It was unbelievable. The noise, and it just wouldn't stop. It just would not abate. There was just so much love in the room for them. So many people who were just so delighted that they'd finally seen them. And you could see the looks on the stage kind of going, I mean, for veteran musicians going, is this really happening right now in front of us here? So, you know, and they actually had to stop and just let it, and it wouldn't stop. They had to calm it down before they could play the second song of the set. And it just never stopped from there. The whole thing just kept going from there. It was just, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
That's pretty cool. I love Toto, and I think that they never got the credit they deserved. Being such a great band, it's, you know, they have their big hits, yeah, but they've got so many really great, strong albums to their credit.
Yeah,
that's a good story. I like that.
They played such a great set. They mixed old with new. They played, what's the song I'm looking for? Taking It Back from the debut album. That was the first time they'd ever played that song, with Steve Porcaro singing it. And you think that's just bonkers as well, do you know? But the whole thing was just stupendously good. It was a privilege to be there. They were so good, but they got even more back from the audience that made them even better. Do you know? And you genuinely, you got back to the car after the show, and we just kind of sat for a good 5 minutes, kind of going, "Wow, that was something really special." Do you know? So yeah, so that's the first one I want to mention.
Very cool. Yeah, they're out on tour with Journey right now here in the States, opening up for Journey. So they're playing big places right now. Yeah.
Well, I've only seen them the once, and it was genuinely a phenomenal event. Phenomenal event.
They are, out of like all the bands that I really like, I've seen almost every band that I've ever wanted to see. I still have never seen Toto live.
Oh well, wow.
I've had many opportunities. It just never quite works out. I would have gone to see them with Journey like over the last 2 weeks, but I've got, you know, too many other shows I'm going to. I can't do these twice a week things anymore. So it just didn't work out in my favor. But I heard they were actually going to do a headline tour, but I guess Billy Idol couldn't do the second half of the Journey, because how it was going to work is that Toto was going to open up the first half of the Journey tour, and then Billy Idol was going to take over so Toto could go out and headline, but Billy Idol pulled out. So Toto decided to stay on the Journey tour through the whole rest of the tour and forego the headline tour, which when you think about it kind of makes sense, because they're going to play to like 5 times as many people, probably 10 times as many people every night on the Journey tour than they would going and play in the small theaters and clubs here in the States. So probably a no-brainer of a decision, in my opinion.
And at the risk of being unkind to Journey and risking the ire from down below in the comments, I think they'll blow Journey off the stage most nights, if they're as good as when I saw them. And I've nothing against Journey whatsoever. Like the band, excellent live. We've spoken about the front man. He's not my favourite, but he does a great job. But Toto are just a different level. They were that night anyway. There you go. So, second one was on the 1st of October. I'm back in the Classic Grand, same place that I saw Chris Klein. And I don't have a ticket for this one, so I'm not quite sure why.
Lightweight.
Pardon?
Lightweight. God, really? You don't have a ticket?
I do know why. It's because I was on the guest list, Simon. They didn't hand me a ticket.
Alrighty.
There you go. Okay. And that's who I saw. So Spock's Beard.
Oh, nice.
There we go. So Spock's Beard, European tour. They played a great set. They were fantastic. They were absolutely brilliant. First and only time that I've seen the band. And they were just on fire. They just were so good. Ted Leonard's the singer these days, even better live, I think, than he is in the studio. Real presence about them. It's a small venue, but the place was, it was busy and it was packed. But there was this couple that were there, okay, in the audience. And let's just say, I think they'd quite enjoyed their day prior to the show. They were interacting with the band, for want of a better turn of phrase. So every time there was any sort of, drop in the volume, the woman out of the two of them tried to speak to the band. Okay. But Alan Morse is who she really wanted to speak to. So she's right up at him and she's talking to him. And at the start, he took her on and he kind of, and in between songs, they would have a little bit of a chat because, he's trying to keep everybody happy, but it just built and she just was not for having the fact that he was actually trying to play a show to everybody else that was there. Okay. And it just got worse and worse. But as the night went on, the toll of the day obviously just got too much for her because she started to give it all this. Okay, you're right at the front of a gig in a small venue with a low stage and no barrier between you and the stage. Okay. So there's nothing to hold on to, nothing, other than a microphone stand. That's the only thing that you can possibly hold on to. So of course there's a little shelf on the microphone stand that's got all of Alan's things. And they start to rock and roll and just about fall on the floor. And you can see him starting to get worried, So eventually someone from security or a tech, whoever, came and removed her from the microphone stand as best.
Get her out of there, yep.
Oh, no, they didn't remove her, Peter. No. She still got to talk in between the songs. But then she started to get ignored. So she announced at the top of her voice, "We've come all the way from Aberdeen to see you." Okay, and fair enough. I mean, Aberdeen is probably, 140 miles away. It's a fair trek. Until someone at the back shouts, "Yeah, but they came all the way from America to see you."
Yeah. You're not special.
So 2 songs further in, okay, we're nearly at the end of the main set here. It just got too much for her. And literally the swaying stopped. But it only stopped because she went straight down.
Awesome.
But I mean straight through the curtain next to the stage and into the guitar tech.
Oh boy.
He was behind the curtain, had no idea that any of this had taken place, and literally the guitar across her, woman there, and she ended up on the floor. And he just looked up, and her husband or partner or whoever went, "Yeah, anyway." Just kept,
like, whatever.
Getting into Spock's Beard, he couldn't have cared less.
Wow.
And the curtain shut, and I presume she was taken away, and he watched the end of the show.
The moral of the story, folks, watch how much you drink at concerts.
Oh, wow. I mean, and Spock's Beard were great, but that is my abiding memory of that gig.
Wow. Yeah, you probably remember that more than the set, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those times where, we were right next to them at the front, right next to them. And they got their own kind of space. That we were at the start at the front, and everyone's kind of, "This is my space, you're not getting through. We've queued to get this near the stage." But slowly but surely, everybody, until she got a circle round her so that she could sway in.
Give her some space, she'll fall eventually.
But there you go. So anyway, that was Spock's Beard, or the woman at the Spock's Beard show. And the last one that I'm going to mention is, here you go, Simon. I've got a ticket. Well, I've got a handwritten ticket because I was on the guest list for this one too. For Backyard Babies at the ABC2 in Glasgow again. And there's not a great story around this one, other than they were just brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. The Backyard Babies are just as good, honest, heavy hard rock as you're ever going to find. They are loads of fun. We were right down the front for that. And the energy coming off stage was just, outstandingly fantastic. And I've seen them again since, and they were equally as good as that. They are just the real deal. The Backyard Babies deserve to be huge. They shouldn't be playing small rooms. They shouldn't be opening for anybody, they should be headlining. But I'm kind of glad they don't, because seeing them in a room that size, wow, does it work? It really works. And they were just ridiculously good. Same again, I saw so many big bands that year, so many great shows, but when you get as honest a night of fantastic music as that, nothing can top it. And that was the Backyard Babies.
I haven't seen them for about 20 years. I feel really old.
Yeah, I caught them once or twice opening up various shows. Yeah.
Thanks, Stephen.
That's fine. That's my pleasure.
Oh, I am really old. That's it. Yeah.
Come on, I did not say that. I did not say it.
No. Just I probably won't be able to get out of the co-captain's chair after I switch you off. I was just sat here all night, you know. Anyhow, is it my turn?
Yes.
Yay. Okay. So I have to say my heart sank when you mentioned Europe, because I saw Europe in 2015. Yes, I did. Now, I am quite devious and sneaky, me. Yes, I am. So we went to see Europe with friends, but we weren't going to see Europe. No, we weren't. Until I dropped in the conversation when I was being Desi, I was driving. I said, "Oh, Europe are playing Manchester soon," and everybody else had had a bit to drink. So they got on their phones and yeah. Soon we were going to see Europe, but there was a problem. It was sold out, except there were 3 tickets left, and there were 4 of us. So we got the 3 tickets, and we thought we'll tout it up. That's what we'll do. So we got to Manchester, had a couple of scoops and stuff like that. That's English for having a beer. Yeah, there we go, a couple of scoops, and we bought this ticket for our friend for 40 of your Earth pounds, right? So probably about 20 maybe for the face value ticket 8 years ago. And it's probably fair to say that I was the only person there who'd listened to a Europe album since Final Countdown. Let's just reel off what they actually played, shall we? War of Kings, all in my pocket. Last Look at Eden. It's not very fluffy and keyboardy yet, is it?
No.
Good though. It's good.
Good. Girl from Lebanon, Superstitious. I mean, they haven't even got, just Second Day, Scream of Anger. They've no idea they'd made albums before. not a clue. You know what I mean? Praise You, Sign of the Times, Rags to Riches, Fireball. They are in absolute full-on groove rock mode. You know, the kind of band that they've actually become. It wasn't until song 12 when they played Rock the Night. However, after the first couple of songs, I was there by myself because everybody else had departed back to the bar. In our party, not everybody else in the actual venue.
It wasn't just you and Joey.
Just me and Joey, JT. Yeah. However, right, in a massive shock, the other 3 of us, as soon as like the lights went down and you could hear that,
We went berserk, right?
Yeah, in they came rushing, and he paid 40 quid essentially to see 1.5 songs. But then afterwards, he had the nerve to say, "Well, you know, I tried it out, didn't I?" No, you didn't. You managed 1.5 songs. You absolutely. Anyhow, I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Sounds like I love that set list, man. I would totally.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Fantastic set list. When you saw them, Simon, did you get any of these?
I did not know.
Oh, okay.
John Norum special. Oh, nice.
Yeah. I've got precious little memorabilia. I'm the anti-Reid. I really am. Just go on.
I'm throwing them on the floor. I've got that many.
Yeah, really. I even sometimes have a tendency to leave at the end of the gig.
How do you mean?
Actually, leave the venue relatively quickly.
Oh, not
rather than like look around on the floor and stuff.
These were caught skills. Gig
I'm
skills.
surprised. I'm surprised he didn't go. Hey, you're the future man from UK Connection. Have some stuff. Yeah, yeah.
I was invited up to get him in person.
Of course you were. Yes, indeed. Anyhow,
Simon is available for all photo opportunities, by the way.
I really am. Yeah. If you see any of us out about, Steve will send you. Pete will send you a free T-shirt. That's not true.
Thanks.
I did qualify that by saying it's not true. Anyhow, also in that year, I saw Lynyrd
My
Skynyrd.
inbox will be flooded tomorrow morning. Here we go.
I saw Skynyrd for the 4th time, I think. And it was in Manchester Apollo, and it's one of the very few, not that many that me and Mrs. Simon have been to together. And obviously, I put it on social media that we were there. We were seeing the boys. I can't remember who supported, so they must have been great. Yeah, but anyhow, and somebody said, "Oh, what did they like?" And Mrs. Simon's actual response was, "Too many fucking guitars."
What, as in too many instruments or too much guitar playing?
Well, just too guitar centric. I mean, really, she's known me then about 30 years, and I play some Skynyrd practically every 3 seconds in my life, and so she must have known what was coming. But anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and she has been and seen them again with me. But the other thing, the other one I saw this year, and this is going to play into my people from the past that Simon has met situation. I saw at Manchester Ritz, I saw Bare Naked Ladies, who I thoroughly enjoy because well, they're super talented and super funny, and they all play different instruments. They all like move around and do. Hey, that's not important right now. More importantly, do you know who was in support? Do you? No, you don't, because I haven't told you. That's right. It was Colin Hay from Men at Work.
Oh, get in.
Wow.
You can tell because he's kind of Scottish, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, and he does that thing where he talks and tells you about the songs, and he goes off on this wild thing saying, where he pretends that all his songs are in the back and they're all slightly in awe of Down Under. I'll not be going out to that. And really funny, really engaging. But afterwards, I was able to, and this is like the worst picture of all time because it was taken on my sister-in-law's crappy phone at the time. But I was able to meet the man himself. There you go. So.
Nice.
Wow, look at that. Yes.
Whilst he didn't have the smoothest hands I've ever shaken, it was smooth enough, let me tell you.
Smooth enough. Okay, so like not quite
super smooth, but smooth enough. He clearly, like me, he's never done a day's proper work in his life. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I want to say about that particular year. Yes, Stephen.
Leo Gun. Leo Gun. That's who opened for Lynyrd Skynyrd.
I could never. I must have seen them.
The list is real.
I must have seen them. I really.
Leo Gun? Never heard
Leo
of
Gun.
I do.
Leogun, Leo Gun. Yeah, that's who opened for them.
I am, when we do worst acts of the worst acts, worst things that you've seen of the 1990s, going to lay into somebody that supported the Skynyrd. So I can remember 30 years ago, but I sure as shit can't remember them.
But you see, that's the worst thing, isn't it? You remember the great acts, and you remember the really poor acts. The ones you don't remember. Yeah, Leo Gun fall into that. I can't tell you anything about them, really. I remember thinking, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm just not even going to listen to Pete. I'm just going to Google Leo Gun. Really?
Leo Gun.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's who opened in Glasgow. Leo Gun.
Sure wasn't here, I'll tell you that much.
Skynyrd
usually here either play with another really big 70s band or they get like another Southern rock band that's fairly notable. Like they tour all the time with 38 Special or Marshall Tucker or Molly Hatchet or the Outlaws. That's generally what they do here. Or they'll go play with like the Doobie Brothers or Bad Company or something like that.
It was kind of brought home to me this week or last week. Somebody tweeted out, name a band you've seen in a really small room. And someone put up a picture of Porcupine Tree, and I thought, oh, must have seen Porcupine Tree right at the start. And there was this picture, and they said, and I forget the venue, so excuse me, but it was somewhere in the US. And they put up a picture, and the stage is bigger than most of the venues in Glasgow. Okay, so when bands like Skinner come over here and play things like the Armadillo, right, okay, that is what you guys would be saying as a small room. So they can afford to headline and bring some non-entity with them because nobody came to the support band. They've sold all the tickets themselves. You see? Yeah. So when I'm talking about seeing bands in small rooms, I mean genuinely rooms that can hold like less than 100 people. That's sold out.
Yep. And Simon, I wanted to remark on your wife's comment on Skynyrd having too much guitar. My wife's comment on the Allman Brothers is exactly the same. It's like, do they have to have 15-minute long songs that are 90% guitar solos? I'm like, well, that's kind of what they do, right? Skynyrd, she likes them. I've taken her to see Skynyrd many times, and she enjoys them. But the Allmans, yeah, it's not for her. Not for her. Oh well. All right, my 2015, my first choice. We'll start January 22nd at Madison Square Garden. First time ever seeing, hold on, I'm actually going to show you the ticket. Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. First time ever. That was quite good. I always wanted to see them, never got around to it. Packed house, I believe it was sold out. And yeah, they played basically everything you could ever want. And it's actually good that I saw them right around this time because not that long after they had that other row with Lindsey Buckingham and he was gone. So there's that. Yes.
I can't conceive, mainly because I'm a man, but other than that, I can't conceive that people paid lots and lots of money and Fleetwood Mac filled out stadia without Lindsey Buckingham.
Yeah,
because they played Wembley without Lindsey Buckingham. Now the only, for me, the only essential member of latter period Fleetwood Mac is Lindsey Buckingham, and you can put Mike Campbell in there and him out of crowded house. But
yeah, I mean they did replace him with genuine, depending on what you like, and I like Tom Petty, but genuine superstars. But Fleetwood Mac without Buckingham is a bit like. But the face was not for him not being there. The face was for you can't not have Fleetwood Mac without Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, I think with this band, you have to have all these members. It's really it's not quite the same. You take any of them out of there, whether it's Christine, Stevie, Lindsay, any of them. Right? I mean, you got to have them all.
Completely agree.
Yeah. But it was good. I'm glad I saw them at that once. I don't need to go again, but that was great. Another really notable show for me this year was June 29th at Madison Square Garden. I spent a lot of time at the Garden this year. Rush R40.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Final Rush concert that I would ever see. And that was absolutely terrific. That was one of the most notable concerts I think I've seen in the 2000s. And man, I love the way they went from like more recent material all the way back to the early stuff. And they took you through all the eras and they changed all the stage and they changed instruments and it was just really, really, really great. And, it's really sad that Neil passed away and they're no longer a band anymore, but I have good memories of that show. So that was really cool. And then I guess, I kind of got two more. All right. So I saw Whitesnake on the Purple Tour at one of Donald Trump's places down in Atlantic City. And that was in July. And that was a blast because my wife and I went down there for the weekend and we just went out and had a great dinner. We went to happy hour. We didn't have to drive anywhere. So we just and there I was, silly me, totally geeking out to all these old Purple songs that we never heard live before, and Coverdale singing. I'm singing every lyric to every song from Burn and Stormbringer, and just having a great time. It's a total geek out moment for me. I really enjoyed that. But the other real notable one, and again, I saw two mega bands this year that I had never seen before. I never saw AC/DC before, but I saw them at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, giant stadium, big football stadium. Like, I think there was like 70,000 people there or something like that. And that was August 26th that year. And really cool to see AC/DC, for the first time and probably only time. I don't know if I would need to go again, but and they're a perfect band for the big stage like that. I mean, we spent a good amount of money on tickets, and it was floor seats, so we were fairly close. But yeah, but so many people. I think in my old age, I've gotten to the point where I don't really enjoy like going to concerts in these big football stadiums anymore. It's just too many people, too many idiots. It's just too much of a hassle. Give me a 5,000 seater or less any day. That's kind of what I like. But AC/DC were great. Brian Johnson was in fine form. Of course, Malcolm was no longer with us by this time, but Angus was great. And yeah, it was fun. A lot of fun. Good year.
Yeah, great live band.
Yeah.
Especially in later years, that's the way to experience AC/DC. No two ways about it.
Yeah, so pretty cool. So there were many others, but those are the highlights. So we will be revisiting another couple of years in the weeks to come. So stay tuned for that as we go back into our ticket archives and memory banks. And in Simon's case, yes, exactly right. Or Simon's got the jar, right, with some things in there.
I just realized I probably do have some upstairs from this era, but just didn't look.
No, okay. That's all right. That's all right. I get the same response from Chris Allo every week. He's always like, yeah, he goes, I got the movies out in the garage, but I just didn't have time to go find them. I'm like, that's okay, Chris. We know you got them. So
I had nothing better to do for about 4 hours before this, and I still didn't do it because I was too busy watching this excellent episode about bands who jumped the shark.
Yes.
Really.
Did you agree with all those, or did you have issues with any of them?
I agreed with many of them. I can't believe that. Was it Greg that jumped off the Def Leppard train at Hysteria?
Yeah. Wow.
And then somebody else jumped off it before that. Oh, I laughed. I did indeed. Seeing as I've never really got on the Def Leppard train.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have, and their best album is High and Dry. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. But to tell me that you don't like Pyromania and you don't like Hysteria,
I wasn't jumping off the train.
I don't like Hysteria. I like Pyromania. I don't like Hysteria. Like I got no use for them as a band at all after that third album.
Talking about Def Leppard and Whitesnake, I happened to be in Manchester where at the same night as the Def Leppard and Whitesnake tour a few years ago. So I have heard them, both of those bands, because it's pretty loud. I've heard them both and never need to see either of them again, or go and see them because I've heard them because they were that loud, and they didn't sound. Neither of them sounded brilliant.
See, myself and Peter are going to really disagree here now because I still enjoy Def Leppard. I don't mind the latter of the albums. I mean, they're not as good as the first 3-4 albums. They're not, and there are highs and lows along the way. And if you catch Joe Elliott on a bad night, wow, he's bad. He's really bad. Okay, you catch him on an okay night, and he's okay. I think he's well aware of that, to be fair. The difference between him and Coverdale is that when you catch Coverdale on a not so good night, he doesn't know it. So Joe will kind of not sing so much, and he'll give it a bit of the old Vince Neil on the microphone, and he'll strum an acoustic guitar instead, and things like Coverdale's still giving and all this kind of stuff that, I mean, genuinely, and I don't know if we've covered it or not, all the hearing problems that I have, of which thankfully there are not all that many, are all down to seeing David Coverdale hitting notes that had nothing to do with any song he's ever sang in his life one night in the Edinburgh Playhouse, where he just hurt my head beyond all recognition, and my ears rang for weeks after that show, not because it was particularly loud, but because he couldn't sing. And I love Whitesnake, by the way. I love Whitesnake. Pre-1987, afterwards, real highs and a few lows. And this is why, as I've mentioned on the previous show, Into the Light, if he'd just gone with that style from there on in, I'd have been utterly delighted. Utterly delighted.
I think Coverdale surrounds himself now with guys who are very good backing vocalists. So most of the guys in the band now sing as well. So the parts that he can't cover, they jump in. The parts that he can cover, he does. And I think it works. But yeah, I mean, you know, he Ian Gillan, I mean, Joe Elliott, a lot of these guys have slipped big time. But, you know, for me, Coverdale still is an amazing frontman, even though he, you know, his voice is not what it was. But yeah, that's a whole subject for another day, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, off a tangent there.
So there you have it, everybody. Down in the comments below, list some of your favorite concerts that you've attended in 2014 and 2015, and feel free to tell some stories, and visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course. We're here all together all the damn time, right? Got it right that time. See that? Simon is like, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. There you go. So stay tuned next Saturday for another episode with the three of us. And what do we got coming up here on the channel? Stay tuned tomorrow. Mr. Simon is coming back once again in a head-to-head battle on album homework assignment with Mr. Louis Nasser from In the Prog Seat. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, Monday, we've got the Hudson Valley Squares kicking off the week all over again. So till then, for Simon Bray and Steven Reid, I am Pete Pardo. Have a good rest of the weekend, everybody. Take care.